Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to this summer edition of the Molten Music Monthly. It's June, it's summertime, it's nearly July, and something mysterious happened to May. I'm not really sure. I'm going to see if we can find it somewhere, but all reports are that it's just been lost to another dimension. Anyway, let's plough on. So here we are again for another roundup of what's cool and happening in the world of computer music. Today we're going to be looking at the new Arturia V Collection. We're going to be getting into VST hosting with Freestyle. We'll be feeling all wobbly with output movement, controlling Ableton with ScreenForge Yeco, street fighting with SmithsonMartin's Kontrol Master, checking out the new second generation Focusrite Scarlett range, getting our cables all in a twist with Softube Modular, having a bit of a poke at Reason 9, and getting our fingers on the first universal Windows 10 app of MIDI control called YMIDI. Why not? Let's have a look. But first, the news that Sony has sold off its entire creative software wing to MAGIX. Now, this may not mean a whole bunch to you, but Sony have been looking after three very important bits of software. First of all, Acid, then SoundForge, and then Vegas Pro. Now, Acid is like the original loop-based production software. It kind of created the idea of acidized loops where things could be moved about in pitch and time. And it's one of the fundamental building blocks of a lot of modern DAW and loop-based software. SoundForge is kind of like the original wave editor on the PC. And Vegas Pro is an awesome sort of DAW-inspired video editor. And I've used all three of these for a very long time. Acid, not so much. That's kind of dropped away a few versions ago, but SoundForge is still my go-to wave editor, and I do all my videos in Vegas Pro. So have them suddenly kicked off to another company is, well, it's a little bit worrying, but at the same time, Sony haven't really developed the software as much as all us users would have liked. And so perhaps in their new home at MAGIX, something new and exciting could evolve. However, MAGIX do already have their own video software. But at the same time, they do also run Samplitude and Sequoia, which are very professional, high-end bits of DAW software. So, although MAGIX is mostly associated with kind of music maker, fun, loop-based bits of old crappy software, they do have some professional products in their lineup. So hopefully, it's all good. We'll have to wait and see. There are 17 synths, organs, pianos and bits and bobs in the amazing Arturia V Collection. It's always been amazing. It's been a great deal. It's like, Native Instruments Complete. You get a whole load of stuff in one package for what ends up being a reasonable price. In the new version, they've all been reworked and sort of restyled, and the interface is gorgeous. It just looks like it's been lovingly created. All the stuff that pops out, all the new pages, and the way that you can scale the interface up and down depending on the resolution of your screen is brilliant. The new piano is amazing. It's quite intensive, but it gives off an extraordinary sound within an amazing environmental space. The new synclavier is an extraordinary sound generation device, and everything in there is just going to give you a lifetime of interesting playing and tweaking and nodding about. It's also very, very multi-touchy. Mostly. It has some issues, like you can't select some of the menu items with a finger, but you can control two different knobs or two different parameters, 3, 4, 5 different parameters, all at once with your fingers on a touchscreen, which is a fabulous thing. For more thoughts on the V Collection, check out my video of it running on the Surface Pro 4 down below somewhere. Freestyle is a VST host for hosting VSTs. What does that mean? Well, rather than having to open up a big DAW program like Cubase just to run a virtual instrument, this allows you to open any virtual synth within its own sort of little front-end GUI. It also lets you plug in 2 or 3 or 4 or more to combine into creating some kind of combination patch. So you can either layer different synths across your keyboard for performance, or you could put them all together to create an uber enormous patch. The style of Freestyle is very sort of trendy, and at the moment it's very sort of flat and grey, but works and looks beautiful. It creates a whole bunch of thumbnails down the side, and you can drag your stuff in. It's very visual, very easy to work with, and I think it's going to be awesome. It's in beta at the moment, and it has a few little issues of the old absolute mouse mode when you're trying to use it with touch, of wanging about, but it looks like it's going to be an excellent piece of software, because most other VST hosts, let's face it, like Forte and such like, they just all look a little bit sort of 1990s. So this is a bit more like it, so I'm looking forward to the full version of that. Output are the makers of some innovative contact instruments, but Movement is their first actual plugin. And what it is really is kind of a delay and modulator effect, but it's designed beautifully, and the way that you connect things together is very intuitive and very interesting and instantly pleasing. You get all these sort of weird delays and pulsing and modulation stuff going all over the place. Looks great, works great. It's a bit expensive at about 179 quid, but it is a really nice piece of kit and I've enjoyed using it. The Yeco is a strangely named controller for Ableton Live. Controller for Ableton Live, I hear you say, oh, we've got like dozens of those. Everything is a bleeding controller for Ableton Live. Yes, but this is a multi-touch controller. It's a piece of software that's going to run on your multi-touch screen. It's not an iPad app. Shock, horror. This is actually could run in Windows, or rather it does run in Windows. It will run on your Surface Pro 4. You can set it up to control whatever you like in Ableton. You've got clip launching, you've got MIDI control, you've got mixer control, all of that kind of stuff is built in, and it looks brilliant. It's very, very touchable, obviously, and it's kind of the solution for Ableton that we've been waiting for, because Ableton are just not going to support multi-touch. They just don't seem the slightest bit interested. The fact you can't get your fingers on those tiny bloody little play buttons, it's just, without a major rewrite, it's not going to happen. So something like this that pops in, overlays, and allows you to access all the functionality of Ableton for performance is brilliant. I'm going to be doing a full review of it as soon as I can. The other touch software company, SmithsonMartin, have released a kind of a hardware controller that looks every bit like a retro arcade machine. However, they don't seem to be called SmithsonMartin anymore. They seem to be called Touch Innovations, but I can't seem to get any more information on that other than they seem to have changed their name. But anyway, any day now, the Kontrol Master will be released, and it's essentially a big knob with a bunch of really big buttons around it. It seems like a slightly large solution that does sort of very little. I mean, the knob essentially moves whatever you've got your mouse over, and the buttons can be assignable to whatever you like. So it doesn't do a whole lot, but it looks brilliant, and I'd love to get a go on it. Focusrite have updated their Scarlett range of interfaces. These are apparently some of the most popular interfaces on the planet, and this second generation ups the quality of the preamps, ups the quality of the cases that they're in, and the most important bit is that I believe it ups the speed of the USB drivers. Because unfortunately, Focusrite's drivers have always been mediocre in terms of performance. They work well enough, but once you get down to low latencies, the CPU overhead just increases and increases to the point that you can do very little. So hopefully with the new driver architecture, that's going to sort that out. They've shown that they can do it with their Thunderbolt interfaces, and so it will be awesome to finally remove that element of doubt when recommending a Focusrite interface. The Windows Store is completely devoid of any interesting MIDI apps. It's just not taken off in any way. I think mainly because most MIDI software can run as a Win32 desktop app, so why run it as a Windows Store app? Well, YMIDI have decided to go that route, and they've released last year something called YMIDI, which was a controller, a general controller, and a Mackie emulated controller, which was really nice. It looked a bit sort of dodgy, but the functionality was certainly there. Now they've released something called YMIDI Toolbox, and that allows you to create and customize your own MIDI controller to control whatever you like. It's simple to use, it's easy, it looks still a bit dodgy, but they're getting there. Jim at Level 6 Productions is always up for improving it and changing it and listening to feedback from users. And so he's now allowed you to change the color of different things. You can put in a background image, and it's really starting to develop and coming on to be something nice. So I'm going to be doing a deeper look at that as soon as I can. Modular synths always seem like a really good idea until you actually get your fingers and your patch cables in there and spend half an hour not getting any sound out at all. Most modular synths that we play with virtually kind of have everything done for you. I mean, Reactor Blocks is a good example of where all the difficulty and the complication and the science of it, I suppose, is all hidden away behind the interface, and all you get to do is play with the gorgeous sounds. Now, Softube Modular has kind of gone the other way. It's trying to do it for real. It gives you proper modular modules and then says, there you are, get on with it. And so you spend half an hour not getting any sound out, because you actually have to know how to wire a VCO up to a VCA, maybe via VCF. What does that mean? Well, that's anybody's guess. Thankfully, there's a whole bank of presets in there, so you can get some sound out. But Softube Modular is kind of the real deal. I mean, it sounds amazing, but it's also going to require a bit of thought and a bit of working and perhaps a bit of sort of knowledge to get sound out of it, which is no bad thing. The only issue for me is that it kind of just looks a bit disappointing. The interface, the GUI, in this day and age of very high definition screens, is just kind of a bit, oh, all right. And that's a shame. It should be amazing. Today, or at least when I'm making this, Propellerheads have released Reason 9. Hooray, a whole new update to an entire door, which is quite exciting. They have lots of new things in terms of device players, which are a bit kind of like MIDI plugins, I suppose. They have pitch correction, so they've got a Melodyne-esque thing working in there. There's lots of workflow improvements. There's audio to MIDI, and the thing they're pushing the most, that there's 1,000 new presets designed by really awesome people. So that's exciting. However, there's no new synth. And we had this last year with Reason 8, no new synth. There hasn't been anything new since version 7. And I don't think Propellerheads are really listening. I think that users just want something new. I mean, with the combinator technology and the way that you can combine all of their synths together to create new and exciting, infinitely interesting things is great. But, you know, just throw us in a new synth, something interesting, something we haven't played with before. And I think that would be really cool. So, well, I'm going to be looking at it deeply and giving it a really good, thorough review. But I think that's always going to count against them. Interesting, but give it time. Let's see how it progresses. And finally, we're about to vote on the EU referendum, whether to stay in the EU or whether to leave and hang out by ourselves watching box sets in our pants behind closed curtains. The amount of rubbish I've read on the internet about this whole thing is just astounding, and I don't think that we are in any way qualified to make this decision. I mean, we voted a government into power in order to make hard decisions because they get all the information. They have the time to look and research everything and to come up with the right answer. We don't have that time. We don't have a clue. And what I read and hear people saying about their reasons to leave is just based on sort of fantasy. And how can we have a referendum where it's supposed to count for something when people are basing their decision on just crazy talk? It boggles my mind. All I know is that selling to places like Norway and Switzerland is an absolute pain in the arse. It's awful. The paperwork, the customs, the taxes, it's just a nightmare. And we want to do that with everybody, apparently. So no, that's not going to work for me. I personally would much rather be connected to people, communicating with people, trading, selling, being together, working together for peace in our time and for a better world. And you can't do that if you shut the doors and start looking inward and go to the rest of the EU. That's not it. Not for me anyway. But whether we're in or we're out, we'll find out in a day or two. And in the meantime, go make some tunes.